He was never in the hospital, never gone in the hospital.
I had never
So when
been
this
sick.
happened, it was like a bomb went into his body.
This virus is no joke. This one actually almost took me away from my wife and kids. This one almost took my life.
I try not to concentrate on the things that I can't do, but concentrate on more what I can do. I'm not complaining because I could be dead. I coded twice, and I'm thankful for just being alive.
Keith Carter and his wife Stephanie, I actually met through mutual friends, people in the community. They said, "Hey, Christina, you really need to cover this story. This is a man who is well known throughout the community. He does a lot of construction work, and he randomly came down with COVID and is having this terrible, long-lasting reaction to it. I think you should tell his story."
We were free. We were doing a lot of traveling.
Healthy, energized bunny, just go, go, go.
But here in New Orleans, you would see them out at Jazz Fest. They were hanging out for Mardi Gras, going to all the balls. He was traveling all the time. Life for them was, as they told me, pretty magnificent. Mr. Keith tested positive for COVID early March 2020. He had just gotten back from being out of town for a work trip that he went on. He went to Texas. He wasn't feeling well, and so he'd already quarantined himself in his room.
I was weak. I had a headache. I had a temperature. April 1st, it got so bad that I didn't think I could shake it. And I was trying to call for Steph, but Steph couldn't hear me. But my daughter happened to call at the same time. Thank God for that, because as she called, what I found out later was that I was in the midst of a stroke.
EMS came, took him to the hospital. It just had a ripple effect on him. And keep in mind, this was as his wife described him, perfectly healthy man who did not have any prior health conditions. So this definitely caught that family off guard.
Everything was acute, from kidneys, the lungs, the heart, things that he never had because he was never in the hospital, never gone in the hospital. So when this happened, it was like a bomb went into his body.
From that COVID and the stroke, I had to have dialysis. I couldn't eat, so they put a peg tube in my stomach.
One day we got that call in the middle of the night. My daughter got it, so it's like, he's in ICU, he's COVID. What do you want us to do? And she's like, do whatever you can to possibly save him. And he got out of ICU 2 days later after that, and he was in the stroke ward. So the recovery period started from there, but it was a monster. It was.
They told me it wasn't an easy time for him because he was so used to doing everything on his own. He had never been in a hospital before.
I said, I'm gonna get up and I'm leaving. And I got up and I fell face down, pow! And then that helped me to see that what was wrong with me was a little more serious than I thought. The toughest part, you couldn't see your loved ones.
Right, that was hard.
That was really hard.
Miss Stephanie wasn't able to hold his hand, not being able to see him, not being able to figure out how he was doing, how he's feeling, or to calm him down and ease some of his frustrations that he had when he was first in there. Even when he was released, he wasn't sent home just yet. He had to go right to rehab and start learning the basics while he was there.
Brush my teeth, how to clothe myself. My vocal cord they diagnosed as being paralyzed on one side. So I took a surgery.
At the time, we had told so many stories of those who had beaten COVID, and that was it. It was just that they survived. And we'd also shared stories at the time of those who sadly did not survive. With Mr. Keith's story, it was he beat it, but he's learning how to live all over again. And in an instant like that, his entire life changed. And then he was finally able to come home. That was his welcome home, Mr. Keith. drive-by parade celebration that they had. He sat outside, he had his balloons, he got to see a lot of his family members, many of whom he hadn't seen in months.
Oh man, that was amazing. My daughter, I was laying in the bed inside, and my daughter said, "Come on, let's go outside. It's nice and sunny.
Take a stroll.
Let's go take a stroll." And man, when she strolled me out, the street was full. All of my friends and family. It was so touching, man. What I was able to see was all the people that had been praying for me.
Miss Stephanie actually reached out to me first about his update. She sent me videos and said, "Look, he's walking by himself." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, look at him go. Yes, yes, yes." It was a complete 180 to see him the first time last summer up until now, with his spirit as well as just his attitude and his physical growth. Because the first time I talked to him, he was just himself, almost defeated at the fact that this happened to him and his family. It wasn't just Mr. Keith, it was Miss Stephanie too, who had to change her whole life around and become a caretaker for him.
You can't carry all this burden on your own, or you get depressed, you'll give up. Man, she's an excellent caregiver. And I thank God for having her as a wife.
Watching the recovery, it's a blessing to see that it can happen. You know, you can come back.
A big thing Mr. Keith really looked forward to was playing with his grandkids again. He's got really, really young grandchildren, and being able to hold them, throw the ball to them, catch them, little things like that he wasn't sure he would be able to do again.
My grandson, he called every night before he goes to bed. "Good night, Papa. I love you, Papa." I say, "Oh man, it makes me melt like butter." But it gives me the motivation to do better.
Right now, he'll speak in his falsetto to rest his pipes and his vocal cords, but he'll try and he'll say, "Yeah, you can see how I still have my voice."
I'm pretty fluent as doing the things that I need to do, getting in and out of bed, taking a shower. I was using my left hand at first, but now I use my right. And so I can use my right hand much more, and I'm a right-handed person. Now, I'm still walking with a bit of a limp, but at least I am balanced enough to do some walking. I'm at the point where they're trying to get where I can raise one leg and stand on the other. And that's been a little difficult. But again, that's where the therapy comes in.
Their biggest message is to just follow whatever guidelines may be in place. And the sooner everyone cracks down and does what they're supposed to do, they said the sooner we will be able to get back to what we love. Mr. Keith is now vaccinated, and he is just overjoyed about that. He told me he's even at his church right now, helping others who are just dealing with the mental weight of this pandemic. He's using his story and his situation to help motivate and to inspire others who are feeling defeated.
The key is to keep your life going like it was before. And I ventured to do that. Now that I had the shot, I'm looking at trying to start getting out a little more, get to Atlanta, by the other grandkids, do the car shows again. The numbers are really coming down. I just hope that we will wait just a little bit longer for the numbers to stay down, and then we can really start moving around and being free again.
I'm not the same person that I was, prior to getting COVID, that's for sure. Man, in a couple months, it'll be almost a year that I've been gone away from the line.
Luis Padilla is a firefighter with the city of Davis. It was kind of right at the beginning of the pandemic, and we were starting to see cases in Sacramento and the surrounding areas. But this was the first time that we had heard about our first responders coming down with the virus.
We still have to go to the structure fires, the traffic accidents, and all the other things that are happening. Those expectations of us haven't changed. And then even when a patient needs like CPR or something like that, then it's all hands on.
The thing about Luis was he was the fire captain. And so what was interesting about it was the fire department already had COVID protocols in place. And so what that meant was there was a lead who would go in to calls and kind of make that first contact, so not everyone would possibly be exposed, and he was that guy.
I was the one going in. I had the raincoat, I had the mask, I had the gloves.
3 Davis firefighters ended up getting COVID, and because of that, he started isolating from his family. And that's when he started to feel unwell. So he had chills, he had body aches, he did get a fever. And then 5 days later, he tested positive for the coronavirus. His heart started to beat really fast. And when he finally was checked out at a clinic, they said, you need to get to the ER now. And, he said he's a firefighter, so he's active and he works out all of the time. He was really surprised that it took him down as quickly and as badly as it did.
I was definitely shocked that it got me. It's better to be safe than sorry. Sometimes as a firefighter, we think, hey, nothing could happen to us, but it did.
He talked about how they wheeled him into the hospital and how there was a ventilator already there, ready in his room. He didn't need it, but I think the sight of that really worried him. The doctor even told him that he was on the edge of a cliff.
I felt like I couldn't breathe. It was just like I had no control of my body. I felt my body was weak. I had like no strength. I felt like, I'll be honest with you, I felt like I was gonna die. I felt for the first time that, man, this is it. I'm gonna be part of a statistic of someone that didn't make it. I never got to say bye to my wife. I got on my phone and I was kind of like hurt because I had missed Easter with my family, so that was a big deal for me. At that moment, I was like, oh man, this is tough. So I started pulling pictures, and I saw a picture from last year when I was like dressed as a Batman, and kind of like motivated me to like, oh man, I gotta fight this.
Luis was in the hospital for a little while, and he eventually got out and quarantined, but the effects of COVID did not go away instantly. For 6 months, he had trouble breathing, he had rapid heartbeat, and then it actually escalated to where he ended up needing hernia surgery because he was coughing so much. And so as a fire captain, he really wanted to get back on the front lines, but he couldn't.
It hurts me a lot knowing that, during this fire season, I can't be out there with my brothers and sisters, helping out.
Luis kept testing positive for the coronavirus for 7 months. And they would say, oh, no, I don't actually have it anymore. He's part of a study to find out why that's the case, why he kept testing positive all of these months later. In January, I spoke with Luis, and he had just gotten his vaccine.
Kind of emotional for me because I survived this COVID where it could have been a different situation. I could have been dead. And to know that I have a vaccine that protects not only the community, but also my guys and my gals at the firehouse.
And having experienced that, that's why he wanted to keep sharing his story to let people know whatever precautions you can take, if you can get the vaccine when you're eligible, to take that seriously.
This virus is no joke. This one really, really knocked me out. This one almost took my life. This one actually almost took me away from my wife and kids. And I actually saw for the first time in my life, like, wow, I could die from this.
When I last spoke with Luis in January, he was really looking forward to possibly going back to work. And you could really tell, just talking to him, how things have changed.
I can't wait. I miss my crew. Working for the city of Davis is an amazing place. I love going on calls. That's why I signed up for this. The doctor says you go back to work, and that's going to be probably one of the best days of my life.
It sounds like things are going well. Usually, every time I talk to Luis, we can get on Zoom or Skype immediately because he's been on light duty. But he says he's swamped because he's back.